a lot of your voters last time round, let's think about them. A lot of them voted for you because they didn't want a Tory government. And a lot of them feel they got a Tory government. They wanted a change. They didn't want Gordon Brown to carry on.
Well, hang on.
They've got a right-wing government. Now, do you feel...
No, they didn't get a right-wing government.
You think it hasn't been a right-wing government?
Absolutely not. And
Really?
I'll tell you what, and the proof is in what the Conservatives are now saying they would do if they were left to their own devices.
So you are proud of the government's record. I just want to be clear on
Yes.
this. You are proud of the government's record, bedroom taxes and all these things, NHS reforms.
Do I?
You're proud of the government's record. You stand on that record. I just want to be 100% clear. Yes, you do.
Of course I do. Of course
so
there are...
people who hate the government shouldn't vote for you, and people who like the government should say, this guy is for me.
If you just give me a word in edgeways, of course, understandably, there are individual decisions which I didn't like to take. I didn't come into government to make cuts and savings, and there are individual decisions that, with hindsight, one could change here or there. The overall record, am I proud of the fact that after 5 years we now have more people in work than ever before, more women in work than ever before, we've doubled the number of apprenticeships, we've taken more than 3 million people out of low pay, out of paying any income tax, we've provided free healthy lunches for little toddlers at school, we put £2.5 billion through the pupil premium into schools to educate us.
Okay.
Well, hang on.
End the sentence with, hell yes, I'm proud of this.
Well, hell yes, I am proud of it.
Do you trust David Cameron?
Look, what I have learned about the Conservatives, and you can actually see it in this election campaign, is when they think that they're about to lose their grip on something that they like, usually power, they can lash out, and they're doing it in this election campaign because it's dawning on them that they're not going to win this election campaign either. Does it surprise me? Does it worry me? Listen, don't go into politics if you want everyone to sort of treat each other with feather dusters.
The Liberal Democrats have a more radical thought about drugs. Will cannabis be legalised, decriminalised, if the Liberal Democrats have their way?
There's a rather important distinction.
Yes,
I don't believe. No, it's very important. Actually, people make that confused. I don't think drugs should be legal. What I think is absolutely self-defeating is to chuck people into prison who need treatment and allow the Mr. Biggs and the criminals who peddle the drugs to them to go free. Listen, if you are anti-drugs, which of course I am, I'm a dad of 3 little children, I don't want my kids hooked on drugs, I think you should be pro-reform, because the war on drugs, and everybody knows this, is not working. Imprisoning people who need hospital treatment and allowing the criminals to go free surely is not a logical way of doing things.
Could you work with the Conservatives again? One of the big dividing lines between you and them is welfare cuts.
Yep.
Now, they are proposing £12 billion a year of welfare cuts. You are proposing £3 billion of welfare cuts. You would not accept £12 billion. That's a red line if you went into coalition with
look, in exactly the same way that I just could never countenance recommending to the Liberal Democrats that we enter into coalition with a Labour Party that isn't serious about balancing the books, rather than this specious stuff they've come up with today. Equally, I would not recommend to the Liberal Democrats that we enter into a coalition with the Conservatives if they insist on a plan which is willfully... Can I just point this out? Because it is a remarkable departure from what we've done in this coalition, where, as you said earlier, we have actually asked those from the broader shoulders to pay more through the tax system to balance the books.
Well, you've had 20 billion of welfare cuts in the last Parliament. They're proposing 12 in the next Parliament.
Hang on, it's very important, this. They're asking for 12 over 2 years. Right. We saved just shy of over 20, over half a decade. They want to, by the way, ask the poorest to make those additional sacrifices at the same time as saying to the richest that they don't need to pay an extra penny through the tax system to balance the books.
Let's finish with some thoughts about your legacy, if you like, for the Liberal Democrats. You've said you took them into government, you've made some very difficult decisions, it's been a difficult time. I mean, if your party is obliterated in the election...
It won't be.
If it is, will it have been worth it?
Well, don't ask me. It won't be.
Okay. Let me ask you a non-hypothetical question. Your party membership, you've lost, what, about a third of the membership? You've lost 10 out of your 11 MEPs.
Our party membership's gone up. Our party membership's gone up consistently over the last several months. It's now
over the last several months. But over the last 5 years, you've lost members.
Evan, we are the first governing party that has seen membership go back up.
Have you lost members or gained members in the last 5 years?
We have lost members, but now they're going back up again.
So you've lost members, you've lost MEPs, and you've lost an enormous number of council seats. Has it been worth it?
Yes. Of course it has, and any Liberal Democrat will tell you that, because at the end of the day, what the Liberal Democrats could have done, and we took this big collective decision, and the reason we've been so much more resilient, and I think graceful under fire as a party, is we took this decision it wasn't just a sort of whimsical decision by me, we took it as a sort of democratic party, and we decided that notwithstanding the impact on our short-term political popularity. It was the right thing for the country. And at a time when people are so cynical about politics and so fed up with politicians, isn't it a good thing that a party, a plucky, brave party, put country before party? And I have an old-fashioned belief that if you do the right thing for the country, for the nation that you love and that you want to serve, there are plenty of fair-minded folk out there who will recognise that. Was it all exactly as we would predict? Of course not. Was every single decisions I would relish? No.
And
but overall, is the country better now than it was when we found it teetering on the edge of an economic precipice back in 2010? You bet.
Nick Clegg, I wonder whether you're struck as I am, that you have very eloquently set out your case and your record over the last 5 years in this half hour. And it must gall you, it must grate that there are probably a lot of people who've been watching your lips move, hearing the words come out, and they're thinking, I just don't believe what this man says because of that one thing, tuition fees.
Look, I just accept there are some people for whom that is a sticking point and they won't forgive, they won't forget, and I accept that. I do. Is it a little bit galling to see Ed Miliband not apologise for crashing the economy? Is it a little bit galling to see David Cameron spectacularly break a promise when he said he'd bring net immigration down to tens of thousands? I told him not to, by the way, and still not apologise. I've had to apologise musically. I do so with as good grace as I can, and I hope there are enough fair-minded folk out there, perhaps not those who won't let go of that particular issue, who will acknowledge, when all is said and done, that the Liberal Democrats have tried to do the right thing with the right motives, with fairness and compassion at the heart of everything that we do at a time of unprecedented national difficulty.
Nick Clegg, thank you
very
much indeed.